8 people died in Hawke's Bay during Cyclone Gabrielle. Now, a scathing report into Civil Defence's response has found major failings. The inquiry, led by former Police Commissioner Mike Bush, found Civil Defence was completely overwhelmed. It lacked situational awareness and intelligence about much of the danger and damage until it was just too late. Staff were overconfident about their readiness and had significant blind spots and made some mistakes. One of those was when locals rang authorities about huge river levels. They were told they were overreacting. However, the report also found the entire National Emergency Management System is not fit for purpose, and it's made 75 recommendations, including a complete overhaul of the civil defence approach. Alexa Cook reports from Hawke's Bay.
As the deadly floodwaters kept rising, people stuck in ceiling cavities pushed through roofing iron to escape. Hundreds were stranded, waiting, desperately hoping to be rescued. A situation residents say could have been avoided if Civil Defence had evacuated them or even just issued a warning.
They didn't tell us. You know, that to me is the first fundamental principle of civil defence, is to tell people they're in danger.
Robert Wong was also in danger. He had to be rescued from his roof in Pakowhai.
Were you given any warning, any orders to evacuate?
We were left to die, to sacrifice this area for another part of this district because there were more people there.
Jeff and Robert gave evidence during the Civil Defence review, which was released today.
The capability inside the response, because of the severity and scale and the number of people that needed to be involved, was not at a capability level to where it actually needed to be.
Any capability they might have had was hampered by communication and power failures when mobile connections were wiped out.
There should be mitigations in place for such things.
Recommendations included an overhaul of the civil defence approach with greater investment in a comprehensive and professionalised centre of expertise in the National Emergency Management operation to help mobilise government resources. It also called for better engagement with local iwi.
It's a far-reaching network, our iwi, and we saw that network in action during Gabrielle. And so we want to shore that up. We want to ensure that our people are trained.
The National Emergency Management System is not currently fit for purpose. It actually sets up good people to fail.
A failing that those who lost loved ones are painfully aware of.
There's anger inside me because this was so preventable. Loss of life could have been avoided if the response was better. We would have got out of here. All these people here would have got out of here.
Many people Newshub have spoken to want to see Civil Defence Controller Ian McDonald and Regional Council Group Manager Chris Dolly sacked.
I don't think someone will be held accountable. I think they should be. They didn't do their jobs.
Will anyone be held to account for these mistakes?
The reason why this review was commissioned by this committee, and its full independence of it by Mr Bush, was to find those learnings and not to apportion blame to a particular person or agency.
Although that's not good enough for some.
It's not satisfactory. You know, you're there to protect us and you didn't do that. End of story.
Hoping when the next one hits, Civil Defence will be better prepared.
Alexa is here now. Alexa, there's concern about the way the report was released today.
That's right. Media were only given 15 minutes to read a 117-page report. Now, that's quite unusual. Typically in these scenarios, we'd be given an embargoed copy of such a report hours before it was released. That gives us time to read it, digest it, and then ask informed questions of those authorities. But that didn't happen. The committee's communication team, in this case, told us that it wasn't possible and that they were following council processes. Another odd thing about today is that we were declined interviews, in fact, with Mike Bush. He wasn't giving any media interviews today. Instead, we sat in that meeting, we listened to him present the report, and then there was a video later that was put on the council website. However, the communications team has since done a U-turn, and we will be interviewing him tomorrow morning.
Alexa, how's the government responded to this report?
Well, Mike, the Emergency Management Minister, Mark Mitchell, now has a copy of the report and tells me that he is reading it. There is another report actually into the cyclone due tomorrow. That's the government's inquiry into the emergency response across the North Island, which includes things like Auckland's flooding and the Cyclone Gabrielle impacts that were felt from Northland down to the Wairarapa. Now, the response from that report is likely to see a big shake-up in civil defence. It could even result in changes to the legislation, and we're not quite sure yet when that will be made public, but Mark Mitchell's office tell us that it should be in the coming weeks.
Alexa, ngā mihi.